Hello and welcome to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. Jim Carrey. And miss me with this press. But Jim Carrey, beloved Canadian comedy actor, was seen accepting an award in France over the weekend, even though he has previously retired from entertainment, then come out of retirement and said award shows were stupid. But now he's at this award show. He's got long hair and a new girlfriend whom he described as being sublime. Now, this alone was very shocking for me and almost uncharacteristic because, look, he could be just totally lovely and innocent and a wonderful man, but there has always been something about Jim Carrey that didn't sit right with me. And it's fine to be private, but his romantic relationships have been a bit mysterious. I will use the word mysterious rather than private. We don't hear a lot about what's going on with him, and I just have a little spidey sense that, he's not probably a bad guy, but something's just off. Something's off. He's so famous, though, or became so famous at a time when very few people were that famous. He was always kooky. He was always method acting. He was always just a complete wild card. I don't know if you can be that famous without also being a little off. So we haven't seen Jim Carrey in a while. How old is he? I'm going to guess 60s. Don't know. And he pops up at this awards show in France and people are like, huh? What has he done? Or is this even Jim Carrey? Is it a clone? Is it a completely different person? Is it a stunt? Is it AI? And Bobby is the one for whom this showed up in the algorithm before it did for me. And you would think this plastic surgery conversation would be right in my wheelhouse, but I hadn't seen it. And Bobby showed me just the standalone photo of Jim Carrey speaking very, nicely, softly, seemed very charming, talking to reporters at this award show. And Bobby said, look at this, is this Jim Carrey? And it was odd because he didn't look like entirely himself, but I couldn't put my finger on what was different. And I have since seen some side-by-side photos, and there are people online who are pulling this all apart. The regular people who like to talk about plastic surgery. They're like, he's done this, he's done this, he's done the other thing. With men, I find it difficult, even as a connoisseur of cosmetic surgeries and tweakments and treatments and whatever else, because if you will remember in the Zac Efron days of his face changing a lot, I was like, yeah, but if you don't see someone for a long time and they gain weight, you might think that's filler. If you don't see someone for a long time and they age naturally, you might think they've done something really dramatic. There are lots of different hormonal fluctuations, all kinds of things that can change your face. So I looked at Jim Carrey, and first I thought, well, maybe he just gained weight. And I looked a little closer, and I think it is not a clone. I think it is not a stunt. And there's a lot of misinformation about this. I believe, as his publicist confirmed today, that the images we saw on this red carpet are, in fact, Jim Carrey. He's not been swapped out because the government got to him like they got to Avril Lavigne, was one of the theories that I saw. They're like, oh, they got him. They finally got him. Like, for what brave truth-telling was he doing? When was he ever even making any sense? I know he's like a bit anti-vax maybe because he dated Jenny McCarthy for a while. But surely that's not a reason to take him out and parade a clone along the red carpet. So I've since studied before and after photos. Jim Carrey's face was going to age. And that is what makes it hard to pinpoint what has happened, because we're looking at a photo from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and comparing it to a photo from the weekend. Had he just laid still in a dark room for that entire time, he would look different anyway. So what has he done? I do think Jim Carrey has had a facelift. I also think that Jim Carrey has had a bleph, where they take some eyelid skin, and I think with men, I am no surgeon, I don't know how to do it, but I think it's tricksy to get it right on men because a little hooded eye is sexy on them. You don't want to take the brow too high. I think the brow now he's maybe also had a brow lift, or it might just be Botox. I think the brow's a bit high for me, and I think there's a bit too much skin. A la Renee Zellweger, a la potentially Bradley Cooper, taken from the upper eyelid. That's my like personal belief. There's also a fullness to his face. They've maybe done fat transfer or fillers. And I don't think there's anything else, really. I think he's done almost exactly what I've done, but maybe too severely, or maybe it's just done recently and it hasn't settled. I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible job, and I think it's unfair to compare any 6-year-old to their 40-year-old or 30-year-old peak of fame self. But with men, I think male surgery is happening more and more and more, but it's less perfected because there have been fewer patients doing it overall. I think the surgery looks feminine a lot of the time. And in this case, I think it looks slightly feminine. I think he's had a bit of lip filler too, weirdly. But who knows? I don't know. But what I know for sure is this is Jim Carrey. So there's a makeup artist who's actually British. Their stage name is Alexis Stone. And this makeup artist is famous for doing loads of prosthetic work and masks and shows up different places as different celebrities. I think this makeup artist was also in Paris at the same time, maybe doing a Jim Carrey spoof. But they took credit for it at first. They put a post up that was like, Alexis Stone as Jim Carrey with a photo of the mask. But I knew as soon as I saw that, like, that was a hoax. Like, that wasn't a mask. If you haven't seen the photos by now, listening to me bang on about it for how many minutes? I'm talking about Jim Carrey's face for 7 minutes. Go online and take a look. It is different. I do think it's surgery. But I find it so fascinating that there's a huge chunk of the internet who are convinced that this is a clone, that we got loads of clones walking around. And with everything that's been going on lately, with Pizzagate this and the Epstein files that, and the entire world is at war, more on that in a minute, I don't blame them. I don't blame any conspiracy theorist now for being like, they swapped out Avril Lavigne with Melissa. Jim Carrey, like, has blue eyes on this red carpet, but he had brown eyes before. I think that was the lighting from the flashbulbs at the red carpet. But if it makes you feel better to believe that it is someone else in a mask, or they have murdered Jim Carrey and replaced him with a doppelganger, fine. Do it. I'm with you. I support you. Let's go with that theory. Okay. There is nothing more British than what I am about to nearly whinge about, but I won't fully whinge, of course. There was a woman online who was in an airport, I think stranded in Dubai. If you've not seen the news, the United States sent preemptive strikes, which not really sure what that means. Preemptive of what? Like, okay. Preemptive strikes, as they say, to Iran. They've bombed Iran. There are reports that schools have been demolished. I don't know about the specifics of it. I am no like geopolitics expert. I don't know exactly what's going on. And I don't trust media anymore. So Iran has been bombed. Then Iran apparently retaliates by sending drones and missiles to Dubai, which were, I think, intercepted by their air defense system. And there aren't any casualties at the time that I last read about it, apart from there's a bit of falling shrapnel that unfortunately did kill potentially one person in Doha. I don't know the details. And then I think that Iran potentially sent missiles to Lebanon as well, I recently heard. And then one of the missiles hit the airport of Dubai. Suffice to say, there was a woman in an airport. There are 20,000 British holidaymakers in Dubai who are currently stranded. And the government has said they will cover all costs of like replacement flights and hotels and everything. But for now, it's the airspace that is most worrying around that area. So if you were meant to go on holiday, first of all, you might get there and things are closed and there are shelter-in-place measures. The UK Foreign Office has advised no travel for any reason, like what's it called? Essential travel only, no holiday travel. But I don't think the danger is like being in Dubai. I think right now people are unsure about the airspace, and the airspace has been closed since this happened. And it's tragic, by the way. And like, don't get me into war, because obviously I'm a nonviolent, dick joking clown, and I'm not about it. It's very sad. We're at war now. Like, this is the thing. The world is just not a safe place. Has it ever been a safe place? I'm not sure. I think anytime Western people are at the epicenter of like, oh my God, there are bombs. It's like, yeah, yes. Many families live with like falling shrapnel and missiles and bombs, and that becomes their reality. And yes, you live in a really beautiful house and you have a nice life. That's what all these war-torn countries used to look like as well. Like, we are not exempt. Hate to pile on the doom and gloom on a Tuesday, but we are not exempt from like this happening anywhere. And it wasn't so long ago that London was being bombed by the Germans. So never take anything for granted. But this British woman went viral because she's on TikTok being like, oh no, my flight's been cancelled. I'm going to have a go at them next if they don't put me on another flight. I'll be honest with you. I watched it on mute because I was with the baby, so I don't know what her accent was. And then I think I threw about 6 or 7 accents into my impression. I could just see her face. And I am not bad at lip reading, but what accent am I going to go with? I think I was, what I felt like it was going to be, oh, I'm stranded. Was I trying to do like Liverpool at the start? Stranded here? No. Oh my God, they've cancelled our flights. If they don't rebook us now. I'll go mental. I'm going to tell them off. I'll have a real go at them. That's not even Liverpool, but that's how I felt she sounded when I watched her video on mute. But she's pissed off, and she's a genius, actually, because she seems like an idiot, but then you read the comments and people are like, hey, who you're going to have a go at who for what? You're going to go mental on whom about exactly why do you expect them to change your situation? There aren't flights. The airspace is closed, bitch. And I realized this is what social media is now, just rage baiting people. She knows the airspace is closed. This might be a comedy actress for all we know. She knows she's not getting rebooked on any flights. But for her, making a video threatening to have a go at the Emirates staff, that is going to fire people up in the comments, no pun intended. So yeah, so it's very sad. Like, obviously, I'm not a fan of war anywhere for any reason, and the safety of people and sovereignty of countries and the non-breaking of UN regulations comes first to me. But I do have to say, the Ryan-Kootstra family were due to fly to Dubai the day after tomorrow, and we were really looking forward to it. Times have been like a little bit spicy around here. I don't know how to describe it. Just with the new baby, Fenna's behavior especially, she's a 3-nager. It's hard to tell where it comes from, but she's also had like back-to-back fevers that are really concerning me, because at this point, we haven't had a blood test, but we've pretty much ruled out other sources of infection, like from primary investigations, taking her to the doctor and stuff. I don't know if you could have like a new virus every week, like every time she goes to nursery on Monday, she has a fever on a Tuesday, and then it's gone by the Wednesday. There is something I was researching called, what is it? It's like an autoinflammatory disease. It's like periodic fever syndrome, but that would be rare. Anyway, I've got her booked in with a pediatric rheumatologist for when we get back, but I'm really concerned about that just because I have autoimmune disease myself, and I just worry like, are any of my kids going to have lupus? Do any of my kids have celiac? So far, so good. But yeah, that has made us sad, and I think she's maybe displaced as well because we just had the baby. Bobby is sleeping with the 2 small kids. I'm sleeping with Holland. It has been dreary and cold and wet and just all these whatever is going on, viruses. We were just looking to get away, like somewhere warm. Fred and myself, not so much. We'd be hiding under hats. But Dubai has loads of things for children. Politically, you can draw whatever conclusions you want about their human rights record. I know my left-wing mother would not be going there. But similarly, I think Carrie has invited her to Nashville and she's not going there either. She said, I don't travel to red states. And that's why we love Jules. But it's just the perfect temperature right now. And we were invited by a hotel that we'd never been to. And I was just excited. And it's obviously fine that we can't go now. But it's just a few days that we have free before I embark upon another quite lengthy project. And so we're trying to reroute it now. And I put a message on Instagram. I mean, Bobby was still quite optimistic. When the news came of these horrible attacks, I was putting the baby to bed. Violet busts in the room. She goes, well, we're not going to Dubai. Like, once again, I'm the last to know. Bobby finds out about Jim Carrey first. Violet finds out about Iran. She goes, we're not going to Dubai. I said, why? What do you mean? And she's like, nope, it's not happening. Everything's going to be closed. Flights are going to be grounded for days and days. And I think this was Sunday evening. And Bobby was like, well, hold on. Like, let's wait and see what happens. And we just went, no, Bobby, it's not happening. I admire your optimism, but it's not happening. So we may go to Tenerife. But like, I put a post on Instagram being like, what hotel should we go to in Tenerife? Because we've been once and we had a lovely time. There isn't a lot of availability at the minute. And I love that people who listen to the podcast, people who have been in conversation with me, who've like followed my stand-up, they know that I'm bougie. A lot of people reached out to be like, Katherine, there will be cockroaches there. Katherine, do not go to the following resorts. Katherine, I went with my family to this kid-friendly resort and my 5-year-old and my 6-year-old had an awesome time, but I had to eat shit. Like, are you prepared to accept a holiday like that? So, unfortunately for the children, I just couldn't do it. I could not go to one of these retreats with an amazing splash pad and pirate ship and all-inclusive this and that, because for some reason still, and I don't understand why, I've never understood this, luxury and kids is almost never available. If you want something that's great for kids, then it will be like worse than plain food, really dirty, loads of like, I don't want to paint anybody with a stereotype that is harmful, but like violent. I took Violet to a resort in Tenerife when she was 18 months old because I was doing a comedy gig. And I took her there and it was lovely. And I have to say we had a great time. But I would describe it like this. Some of the children were feral. And we found ourselves a lot of the time at the swimming pool with a little boy whose parents were both. And like Bobby has tattoos, you can have tattoos. His parents were tattooed from like head to toe and drunk all the time. And I think smoking. And the soundtrack of my holiday was the dad being like, Dexter, no, Dexter, no. And their little boy Dexter, I'm assuming his name is, otherwise why? Maybe they were just comparing him to the dramatic series main character of the same name that was quite popular at that time, who was a killer. He was just running around like bashing other kids, like turning over deck chairs. It was one of those places as well where some of the tourists come down at the crack of dawn and put their towel on a chair. I won't stay somewhere like that. One of the places where they nail the shampoo and conditioner to the wall so you don't steal it, I won't stay someplace like that. I have worked too hard. I am too old, too rich, and too talented to have like Dexter No be the soundtrack of another holiday. And don't get me wrong, the wealthy are assholes in a different way. But publicly, their children tend to be well behaved because they were raised by strong Filipino women who keep them in line. So we're going to go back to the original hotel that we stayed at last time, which is really great for us. It's like relaxing and it's very upmarket, and you will see posts from me later next week at that place, just living it up for the last time this year. My maternity leave is over, but I just don't think there's enough there for the kids. And why not? There are some kids clubs, mostly in South London, most like amazing posh things for kids. in London are in South, not North London, but then most of the posh kids are in South, not North London. There's something called Jesse's House, and then a sister establishment called Jago's House. And these are like Soho House memberships, but like it's like a Soho House for kids, basically. And I was a member for a little bit before Holland was born at this Jago's House, because they have like the most incredible soft play you've ever seen in your life. And they have classes, and they have classes for adults, and they have a restaurant with really beautiful, sustainable, whole food meals that you can give your kids. Like that is another thing I hate about kids' places. It's like, if you're playing here with kids, your menu choice is hot dog or chili dog. And it's like, what? I can't feed my kids anything that is here at this kids resort. So I loved Jago's House. I really did. But that was so busy, and it was a bit far from us. It was kind of West London, and like the trouble of getting there just to be at another packed soft play. I just think if there were more places like that, people would go. Like, people want to go somewhere with their children that is really nice and not totally crammed and has something else on the menu that isn't a hot dog. But whatever. We are not even, we would love to go to Dubai, but we are not disappointed. The safety of the world and all the passengers who are stuck there traveling home safely matters the most. So like, just want to clear up, not annoyed, but we have found a way to spend some time together as a family before I get really busy with work again, and that is great. Mora Higgins. Have you seen Maura Higgins? You will know Maura as the trepidatious young woman. Is trepidatious a word? What the fuck is trepidatious? Where did that come from? I think I have a brain tumor. Oh, on the subject of brain tumors. Trepidatious? Trepidatious? Feeling fear or anxiety about something that may happen. Weird. Back to Maura Higgins in a moment. I don't think I have a brain tumor, though. I mean, listen, touch wood. Touch wood, I'm very grateful for today and this life and here and now. I decided to do a mega health assessment. And I won't tell you what it cost, but it was loads. I have a private doctor whom I'm very grateful for. She is the private doctor of many famous people, maybe comedians, entertainers, singers, businessmen, everything. She's like super chic. And I don't go to the doctor very often, but ever since I had my second melanoma last year while I was on tour, while I was pregnant with Holland, I started thinking a lot more about preventative health. And this really should be accessible to everyone, though why? Because I think a lot of it might have been a waste of time. I mean, the best case scenario is that this was a massive waste of time. You don't want them to find something on the scan and be like, well, great, I really got my money's worth from this health assessment. You want to waste money on your health. So I went in for like my postnatal checks, and she said, who's looking after like this whole cancer profile of yours? I said, nobody. I didn't feel like I needed anyone, and I spoke to a few people, but it was only level 1. I don't need to do anything, blah, blah, blah. Though I can't even get life insurance until I have these follow-up tests. And she was like, let's just put you through the whole thing. I'll give you like the executive test that I suppose she gives men, mostly men who are like 65 and they're running companies and they've taken a lot of cocaine in their lives and they eat bacon, because a lot of this stuff when I turned up was cardiac specific. And I really, like, it's my fault. I'm really grateful to have access to tests like this, but I was like, do I really need to be doing like cardiac tests? This is ridiculous. There's zero history. I mean, I haven't got the results back. It will turn out I have some heart problem, but zero history of any cardiovascular issues in my entire like extended family on both sides. I don't have shortness of breath. Like, I'm not athletic, certainly, but I have no symptoms of any cardiac stuff, though I have been reading that women do have cardiac events. Is it more than men? At least as much. Hang on a sec, Alaska producer. Do women have more cardiac trouble than men? Don't get me another like gender thing. Even AI is like, hang on, I'm not sure, I need a minute. The short answer is men typically develop heart disease earlier, but women are more likely to die from it or have it missed. Well, shit. Historically, heart trouble was seen as a man's problem, but now we know that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women worldwide, killing more women than all forms of cancer combined. What? Men usually develop heart disease about 7 to 10 years earlier than women. Risk often begins to climb in their 40s. Women often, quote, protected by estrogen until menopause. And then once the estrogen levels drop, a woman's risk accelerates rapidly, catching up to and sometimes exceeding a man's risk in her 60s or 70s. Well, I'm 42. The plaque difference. New research from early this year shows that women's hearts are essentially more sensitive to damage because people are mean to us. Men tend to have large obstructive blockages in major arteries. That's the classic clogged pipe. Women often have microvascular disease where the tiny vessels branching off the main arteries become damaged. The danger is that because women have smaller arteries, a 20% plaque buildup can be just as dangerous for a woman as a 28% buildup for a man. And the symptoms are extreme fatigue, nausea, shortness of breath, pain in the jaw, neck, or back. Women often wait longer to go to hospital, and doctors are more likely to dismiss their symptoms as anxiety or indigestion. Some risk factors for women, biological red flags, pregnancy complications. If you have a history of preeclampsia or gestational diabetes, it increases your heart risk later in life. Oh, fuck you. Oh, no. What? Lupus, which is more common in women, causes systemic inflammation that damages the heart. Mental health, stress, and depression have been shown to have a more profound physical impact on a woman's heart than a man. Well, this doctor knew exactly what she was doing, sending me for these cardiac exams. Oh my God. I was in there looking at all these other executive men thinking, why the hell am I here? But she sent me to exactly the right place. Oh no. Well, this was yesterday. What I had to do was show up. I was whisked away. This is on Harley Street, but I was whisked away from the scum in the regular waiting room, and I was ushered to a VIP lounge. And the VIP lounge was different because no one else was in it but me. And there was a little table with a knife and fork and place setting and ketchup. I don't know why that was, in case I wanted to have a break and have lunch, because this was a 6-hour ordeal. There was a coffee maker tea, a water cooler, mini fridge that had bottles of water, milk, and San Pellegrino in it, some snacks, some dried fruit, stuff like that. It was very chic. Oh, and a TV with Netflix on it, which I did not watch, and a beautiful sofa. It was nice. And then I went for a thyroid ultrasound, and the man said my thyroid was great. And then I had to have a stress test, which it turns out is hell, because it's where, okay, as a breastfeeding mom, and my doctor knows I'm breastfeeding, so it was important to do these tests right away, but I wasn't allowed to do all of them. Getting to that in a minute. A stress test is when a lovely woman called Bernie takes you into a room and you panic because what's in that room? It's a hospital bed and a fucking treadmill. And I was like, I'd rather be in a hospital bed than on a treadmill any day of the week. Please let me stay in the bed. And she goes, well, we need to take your shirt off and put this gown. You can't have a bra because I'm going to attach all these 16 electrodes all over your body. And then we need to get a baseline of your resting heart rate. Then the technician's going to come in and he needs to do an ultrasound of your heart when it's relaxed. Then you need to run on the treadmill until your heart rate goes up to 96% of what they believe of its capability or something. I don't know, 96% was the number she said. And then you need to run back on the bed and he needs to do another ultrasound of your heart because some diseases of the heart, you can't see them when the heart is resting. You need to see the heart trying hard, and that's when you can see them fine. So I was wearing jeans. I was not prepared to run on this day, though I should have been prepared if I'd read the briefing documents, which I didn't have time to do. I didn't want to. So I was like, well, it's going to be really hard for me to run on the treadmill because I'm breastfeeding. And she was like, I don't follow. And I was like, I'm going to give myself a black eye. Like, I have huge tits at the minute, and they're heavy, and I just don't love it. Like, what? How do you get women running on this treadmill with no bra? What are you trying to do? And she said, well, you can hold them if you want. And that's what I did. I got on the treadmill, and I had to start walking on an incline, which sucked. And she's like, let me know and I'll increase it. And then I started running, and then she goes, oh, you're already at 91%. If you want me to end the test, I can end it. I said, yeah, end it. End it. Get me off this thing. I hated every minute of it, and it didn't take long for my heart to shoot up to 91. And I got on the bed, and I was already sweating, which is a bad sign. And the ultrasound tech did an ultrasound on my heart. He's like, that's great. That was your warm up. And I was like, what? But he was just lying. It was finished. And I noticed that there was like an hour and a half allotted for this test. And she said, well, yeah, if you're a runner or if you exercise regularly, it takes a lot longer to get up to 96%. So for you, it's really good that you're out of shape because you just got right up to 91%. I think like the sheer hell, like the rage of knowing that I was being made to run on a treadmill with no bra while my boobs were engorged, that's what got my heart rate up. So whatever. Or maybe I'm dying. Like, we won't find out until next week. So I finished that, and then I got back to the lounge, and then I was whisked away for an MRI. I've had 2 MRIs before. Yeah. I think I've had 2. Yeah, I've had 1 at least. Who knows? But there are spots on my liver, which I think they believe to be hemangiomas, but they wanted to check it again for my life insurance to make sure they hadn't grown, because when we found them, I was pregnant, and there are so many things you can't do when you're pregnant. So they wanted to do another MRI and do an MRI of my head, and then do something called a CTCA, or like a CT scan, where you are injected with iodine or some type of radiation, and that gives them a clearer view of what's going on with your heart, with like your body, with whatever. And that was the whole reason that I went back. But because I was breastfeeding, I was excluded from that. They were like, oh, well, you can't do that today. And I was like, but why? And they said, well, because if you're breastfeeding, some of the iodine will stay back. And I looked it up after I left, because it's fine. I can go back another time when I'm not breastfeeding, which God knows when that will be. It said that the iodine is absorbed by your body. So like 1% of what they give me might enter my breast milk, but then like 0.01% of that would actually be absorbed by my baby, because it's not absorbed orally, which is less than they would give a baby if the baby had a CTCA anyway, so it's not dangerous. But if you are pregnant, if you are breastfeeding, if you are a woman, full stop, you know there's no research about you, and you are excluded from so many things. So, I mean, I think with my medical history, if it were up to me, I would roll the dice and do the scan, but the radiologist or whomever said no. But I did a lot of things. Then I did an ultrasound on my aortic artery in my neck to see if there was plaque there, and there wasn't. And I think, and I did a whole like blood test, and I had to squeeze things and see how strong I was. It's good to do. If you can afford it, I think that that's where your money should go first, to, health is wealth, to preventative medicine. And I'm sure that there are elements of this test that you can access without doing like the whole potatoes. But who knew that it would be on telling everybody everything that I would learn that I am at risk for cardiovascular problems. So I'm glad I went. Back to Maura Higgins, though. Speaking of heart problems, that young lady has all of America hot under the collar. So if you don't know her already, she is not trepidatious. I don't know what word I was looking for to describe her earlier on. She is formidable. She is a force. When she burst onto the scene in Love Island, she's this young Irish girl who the boys kind of talked about in the house. She liked one boy. She was funny. She would snap back a lot. She was about to walk away with the boy, I think, to go in the love hut or whatever it's called. Who knows what it's called? The like private area. And he turns to the boys and he said, let's see if she's all mouth. And she heard what he said. And not only did she hear what he said, but she backed herself and she was like, what did you just say? Say it again to me. Why would you say that? That's a dickhead comment. And then she did not go in the hideaway. That's what it's called. Thank you telepathically for telling me the word. She did not go in the hideaway with him. She really was, at the time, one of the most feminist entertainers on reality television. And then I would see her at awards and things. Of course, she had a few little tabloid scandals, a few little boyfriends that we would talk about in the press. But I am not au fait with celebrity traders in America. I don't know how she got on Celebrity Traders in America, but she made it down to the final, which just aired last week. And she is a big deal in America, which is not easy to break. And she is serving look after look after look after death-defying, murderous, awesome, slay the house down look. And she has done a really clever thing, by my estimation. I don't have any insight into this, like exactly what she's done. But from the outside in, I think that her management, her publicist, herself, like if she's coming up with this in her own head, they positioned her so cleverly. They went, oh, Love Island became really big in America. They have their own Love Island, but they still really like to watch British Love Island. And Mora was a standout character on an iconic series of Love Island. So they capitalized on that. And somebody somewhere made the call of a lifetime and said, let's get her on Celebrity Traders USA for some reason. I don't know if they said she's a good character. She has experience in reality TV. She's really like gripping. She draws you in. Like people will really like her. So get her on. But however that happened, they got her on. And totally a great casting. She got to the final. And during this time, she's been going to so many red carpets. And I was asking myself, why is Maura Higgins on like the Grammys red carpet? I'd see her on all these American red carpets and be like, who is her publicist? Like, how's she getting on these? I did not know about Celebrity Traders. I thought it was just from Love Island or because she looks so good. Because in the Traders and on the red carpets, she doesn't just turn up. She turns it out. She's got like wigs on. She's got incredible dresses. She's got this fantastic body. And when I see her, I just feel like a proud grandma. I'm like, good for fucking you. Kill him. Kill him with your body. Here's a little fun for my enemies. I have not taken my bank card anywhere. I don't know how this can happen. I physically have the card. The PIN has not been compromised. Nobody uses my card, but I did enter the card details into like a reclaim flight refund third-party website. And that's kind of when I feel like my problems began. Even though this website must have been hacked or something. It was really well reviewed. It's like a reputable website. You have to put your card details in there, according to them, so that they can get you your refund. But I mean, like saying it back now sounds really dodgy. I had someone use my card in the Congo and take $1,700 from the ATM before it was properly flagged. And like, I don't fault my bank in this. First of all, I thought I had a daily maximum. Like here I am taking out like 200 pounds maximum when I get my nails. I didn't think I could even take out more than that in a day. Like who even needs cash anymore? Why can't I take out $1,700 in the Republic of Congo? But yeah, so that's happened. And then it was flagged just one of the last times. I got a text that said, do you recognize this ATM transaction for like $500 And I said, no. And when I got the statement, it was like, oh no, they did successfully use it to the tune of $1,700. So the fraud department are so brilliant at my bank. Like they're dealing with it now. But the questions are like, did you give anybody your PIN number? Do you keep your PIN number written down on a piece of paper? Did you lose your card? Like none of those things have happened. And I just think I am officially an elderly target now. Like I think everybody needs to be so wise to like phishing scams, which I was not a victim of, but like phone calls, because a lot of times it's like a computer with a human voice. A lot of times it seems like it's coming from your bank or the police, or like a lot of these scams seem very genuine. I wasn't even scammed. Like I don't even know if it's this air website. I wasn't even contacted. I had a flight that was ridiculously delayed. I didn't want to deal with getting the refund myself because it is not as straightforward as it seems. So I sought out these fraudsters, if that is how I was defrauded. God damn it. This is a goddamn nightmare in any case. Okay, let's have some emails. Katherine, I'm a 23-year-old listener looking for advice. I've seen you on TV for a while now. Within the last year, I discovered your podcast, which has kept me sane as well as entertained at my second job. I know I'm not your usual type of listener. No, you're not, because you're 23 with a second job. And a lot of the stereotypes about your lazy-ass generation are unfortunately true, but not for you. Not for you. I'm 23, living in the UK, working 2 jobs night and day, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., and then 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. most days. I'd love to gain any knowledge you learned in your early 20s, as well as wondering what you may think you might do nowadays if you were in your 20s in this modern world. To be exact, I'm from a small UK island, so I do have to travel for activities and to meet new people, but I'm always open to new ideas and experiences. I mean, okay, my first thing that I'm going to tell you is that I love how trepidatious you are. What is the word that I was looking for to describe Mora Higgins? I think it might have been industrious or like, who knows? Energetic. She's just amazing, and sounds like so are you. But when I was your age, I was greedy. I wanted all the money. I went to university, but instead of attending school most days, I would pick up these 18-hour shifts at Hooters if I could. I would just earn as much money as I could. And then for a time, I worked in an after-hours club. Now, not for a long time, because I ratted on people for having cocaine, and the owner didn't like that, because apparently he always knew that the people at the after-hours club had cocaine, and he didn't mind. But I thought, like, well, wait until I get my gold medal for telling this drug bar owner that people have drugs. Anyway, I served a lot of water, and a bottle of water cost $5 Canadian, or maybe $7 Canadian, which back then is like charging $30 for water. But I digress. I'm worried about your second job, and I know that it's hard out there for a pimp, but I don't like you working 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. That is causing irreparable, well, everything I think is repairable, but it's causing really serious damage to your circadian rhythm. You will be producing so much cortisol, like wacky hormones. You really need to rest at night. And it's fine for young people to go out later than 10, but to be having a job most days from 10 to 7, I would walk out of that after hours club and feel like, it was dark down there. And then I'd walk onto the street and the birds would be chirping and people would be dropping their kids to school. And that just was not healthy for me. I'm really glad I got fired for a number of reasons. But that probably, it just fucked me. Even a few shifts absolutely fucked me. So I don't like you doing this. And then you're working 8:30 till 4. You didn't say what you're doing, so I appreciate that if it's temporary and you're working towards something, then that's good. But you have to have a balance in your life, because I don't know if you have heard, but women are more likely to die of heart disease than men. And you're young now, but you are on your way to that. This is a very stressful and unsustainable life. I think that you can work less and earn more. And maybe that is like pie in the sky wishful thinking. I don't know what the job market is like out there for your age group right now, but I do think about it a lot because I'm raising 4 kids who eventually have to get jobs. And I think the landscape today as it is, I hate to say it, God, oh no, I'd never thought about it before. Well, I think I do love the service industry. It is a place that you can still make cash, not particularly in the UK, but people are still tipping, though I suppose on cards. So who knows if management steals most of that. But I always loved hospitality. I loved the service industry. I think I would be doing something like that, just like I did at your age. Or I would be like an influencer, or even worse, an OnlyFans model. Think about it. I loved the idea of being sexy. I worked at Hooters. I went to the Playboy Mansion. I was really like, I would have been like a trafficker if given half a chance. I really would have. Like, thank God, if I had met some like wealthy old princes and they'd been like, we'll take you and your girlfriends to dinner anytime you like. You could go to some fancy parties. I'd be like, okay. And they'd be like, oh, maybe you could reach out to some of the other Hooters girls and invite them to the parties. I'd be like, that sounds good. Like, that really is who I was. I was trafficking girls to Hooters. I got my own sister a job there and my flatmate. Now, Hooters was a wonderful place to live and work, and we built a beautiful community of strong, very like-minded, funny, layered women working there. It was not sex work, of course, but if it had been, I was like a fucking idiot wandering around that town. Oh, would it make you happy if I invited my hot girlfriends to the party? I'll call them up. That would have been me. So thank God that I was not pretty enough nor vulnerable enough to be targeted by any traffickers. I would probably be on TikTok trying to break into comedy that way rather than doing the open mic circuit. I think that's how a lot of comedians get noticed now. They create their own content. I have explained to my children of varying ages that you are someone who either consumes or creates. So sometimes it's really fun to go shopping and go out to dinner and be a consumer of things and fun and experiences. But you also have to put something out. You have to have an output. You have to be, in my case, a creator. So you need to make content or write jokes or like go to work and earn money, offer a service to people for remuneration, like be a problem solver. You have to go out in the world and do that too. Write a play, write a book, write a treatment, create a business. Like you have to sell something more often than you want to buy something. So, I mean, that is my advice to you. But definitely quit this night job. I'm sorry, you can't be doing that. No. The next email says, Katherine, I have a dilemma for you. I know you will give me some straight talking advice. I'm a mid-40s woman, and I've recently found out, oh God, that my partner of over 20 years has been having an affair. What kind of affair? I started getting suspicious last summer when he was being really surreptitious with his phone, tilting it away from me so I couldn't see his screen, and quickly swiping away his WhatsApp every time I walked up to him. I've since worked out the password for his mobile phone and discovered that it's been going on for at least 2 years, maybe even longer. Not only do they meet up at least once a week at her house, I discovered he has often booked a room for two when he's been away on business trips within the UK, and she has joined him. He even flew her out on holiday when he went away with his best friends and had her staying in a hotel a few streets away as not to arouse their suspicion. I have secretly read their sects. I've seen the nudes she's been sending, but so far I've said nothing to him. And I am temporarily turning a blind eye. This is the most British email I have yet to receive. I think I'm still in denial, to be honest. My partner is very wealthy, and I know that if I leave, I will have a considerably less comfortable lifestyle than I'm enjoying now. Although I work full-time, I don't get paid a huge wage. We're not married. However, we do have a legal document outlining a settlement I will get if our relationship breaks down, so I won't be destitute at least. I mean, let me just put a pin in that. I wonder how legally binding this legal document is if you're not married. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he's very wealthy and he decides he doesn't want to give you anything, even legal documents are not rock solid. They can be, entered into consideration of a court, but they don't always hold up in court. He could find a way to bob and weave and be like, well, I signed this because blah, blah, or I don't feel it's actually fair. Like, you can still spend a year in court arguing over this, whatever legal document that you have. So like, nobody should ever just rest on a legal document alone, feeling like it's going to hold up. Presumably, he wouldn't fight you because unless he's mental and wants to just own everybody, he's already cheating on you. And, you know, hopefully is a very strong hope, but like, he wouldn't give you too much trouble. I want to confront my partner, but I just don't know how to even bring up the subject. Part of me wants to pretend it's not happening so I can enjoy our big house and luxury holidays for as long as I can. The fact that I'm even willing to turn a blind eye to this behavior makes me hate myself, but the thought of moving out and starting again after so long together is just too overwhelming right now. I just feel so heartbroken, disrespected, humiliated, and angry that he's betrayed my trust and my belief in the future we had together. I really don't know what to do next. Well, it sounds like you don't have kids, which is awesome. Or you might have kids and you just didn't want to mention them for the purpose of this email. This is very bad. And I worry that you are trying to solve this in your head rather than solving it with your heart and your body and how it makes you feel. Because you're like, oh, in my head, I don't want to lose these things and I have this life and maybe if I just ignore it, it'll go away and I'll be able to live with it. But then the reality of the situation creeps up. You're like, I will hate myself if I continue to live in denial. And that's what it's about. It's like, how valuable is your self-respect? How valuable is access to you? Like, this man has access to you, and he has taken that for granted. He has betrayed you in the worst way. He's having sex with someone else and presumably coming home and having sex with you. He thinks he's smarter than you. He thinks he's tricked you. There are certain men who just get off on having one over on you, being like, yep, I got my missus, not your wife. You guys are not married, but I've got my partner and then I've got my little bit on the side, and that's how I like it. And aren't these women so stupid? I'm playing them both. This is probably what he thinks. He does not respect you the way that you deserve to be respected. This sounds like it's already eating away at you. And nobody, there's no amount of money worth living a lie for and having someone be disloyal to you if that matters to you. I have seen in my life hip-hop documentaries where I believe the wife actually doesn't care. So I saw Snoop Dogg's wife being like, yeah, Groupon, groupie, you had him once, I have him all the time. Some of them are aware of groupies in this documentary that I watched, which is so old. So I can't even tell you the name of it, but I don't think you're that kind of person. I saw, who's this guy? Gabor Maté. You know who I'm talking about, but I don't know his name. He talks a lot about attachment styles and children. He talks about relationships. And there was a clip that came my way that said there are 3 options when living in a romantic partnership with an alcoholic, and only one of them is insane. And most people pick the insane option. So option 1 is, you are an alcoholic. I'm going to support you and embrace whatever way this goes. I accept you for who you are and I'm going to stay out of it. That is sane. Option 2, perfectly sane, is to say, you're an alcoholic. I find this damaging to me and I'm going to walk away from it. I love you, but I can't be involved in this. That is perfectly sane. Option 3 is to stay and say, you're an alcoholic. I love you. I don't like this thing about you. It causes me problems. So I'm going to try to control you and manage this alcoholism and stop you from doing it. That is the insane option. It's the option that people choose the most. So you have obviously been talking about infidelity, not alcoholism. But I think that you have the same 3 choices in front of you. You can be like, this man's cheating on me all right, I'm going to let him keep doing it for as often as he wants with whomever he wants, and I'm going to live my luxury lifestyle and stay. Or this man's cheating on me, I'm going to walk away because it doesn't, serve me. It is worth the financial changes I'll have to make to my life. I can't live this way. That is also sane. But the insane thing is the thing that you're kind of doing now is like, well, it hurts me. I'm going to let it affect my self-worth. I'm going to look at his phone and find out about these nudes and live in this cycle of toxicity. I don't like that he's cheating on me, but like I'm going to stay because whatever. Like that is just not sustainable is what I'm saying. So you just need to maybe have a chat with a therapist and decide if that small part of you that wants to pretend it's not happening so you can enjoy your big house and luxury holidays is a big enough part for you to live a lie. Because the other option, if you don't want to leave, is to just confront him, to go, look, I'm not going to be petty about it. I know that you have a mistress, and guess what? I don't care. And do you want to open this relationship so that I can have someone too? Wah, wah, wah. Plot twist. He won't believe that. He'll be like, what do you mean you don't care that I have a mistress? Holy shit. Maybe he'll start to get jealous himself and be like, well, no, I don't want to open the relationship. I don't want to open the relationship. I don't want you to be with anyone else. But he's been doing it for 2 fucking years, thinking that he's smarter than you, getting away with it. You could do it in quite like a, you describe your wealthy lifestyle. You could be just drinking champagne somewhere someday, and he could be talking about your next luxury holiday. And he could be like, oh, will you be taking that holiday with me or with Tatiana? And just look at his face and then be like, I don't even care about Tatiana. I know everything about her. I've known all along. I've known for the last 2 years. And seems like things are getting pretty serious between the two of you. And I just want to let you know that I support it. And I think actually you should be fucking her 2 days a week, not 1, so that I can have more time with my Pilates instructor. That could be you. That could never be me, but that could be you, and no judgment. But I don't like this man thinking that he's got one over on you. I don't like that at all. And I'm sorry this happened to you, but I'm happy that you're rich. Thank you for listening to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. Please look after each other. I'll see you soon. Oh, and if you ever want to write me an email, it's tellingeverybodyeverything@gmail.com. You can follow me on my socials at Kathbomb. That's Instagram, which I'm usually using, TikTok, which I rarely use, and Twitter, which is now called X, which I came off of years ago.